Nikkei Asia News Roundup
with Jada and Brian. Welcome to the Nikkei Asia News Roundup with your hosts Jada and Brian,
bringing you the latest updates and insights on the dynamic world of Asia and more.
Now let's delve into the headlines. This program is brought to you by Nikkei.
Japan's tourism trade surplus, when spending by foreign visitors exceeds spending by outbound Japanese tourists, climbed 58% in the year ended March, surpassing the country's surplus derived from patent royalties for the first time.
U.S. President Donald Trump's move to impose tariffs on foreign movies has piled pressure on an Indian film industry that is struggling for hits domestically and is increasingly eyeing opportunities abroad.
Tsingtao Brewery, one of China's oldest beer companies, is buying its way into the traditional yellow rice wine business as it seeks a more diverse product lineup in a consumption downturn.
With rivalries among the U.S., China, and other powers intensifying, ASEAN can play the role of mediator by using the Southeast Asian bloc's focus on building internal consensus, former Indonesian President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono told Nikkei.
Multinational companies running offshore offices in India are emerging as white knights for local software talent, as homegrown technology companies slow down hiring amid a tough business environment.
Trouble is brewing between Swiss food products giant Nestlé and its Thai partner, conglomerate PM Group, over Nestlé's Nescafe brand of instant coffee. Now moving on to the next segment.
Pakistan's Punjab eyes multi-billion-dollar high-speed rail project. Pakistan's provincial government of Punjab recently unveiled plans to build a multi-billion-dollar high-speed railway linking the capital region to Lahore, the country's second-largest city. Although officials are touting the ambitious infrastructure development, experts consider the proposal unrealistic, citing financial constraints and a lack of interest from major foreign partners, such as China. The Chief Minister of Punjab, Pakistan's largest province, gave preliminary approval to start the Lahore-Rawalpindi high-speed rail project, according to a statement issued by the government. The existing rail line between Rawalpindi and Lahore is 280 kilometers long, and trains operating on the line average 65 kilometers per hour. According to experts, the global benchmark for a high-speed train is over 300 kilometers per hour. However, they put the cost of laying a new track for a high-speed train, buying rolling stock, and building infrastructure at more than $10 billion.
China here, China there. Cambodian city reshaped by Chinese money. As Chinese manufacturers ramp up investment in this Cambodian border city, whole neighborhoods are cropping up to cater to them while signs emerge that factories are straining the power grid and labor market. Bavet in Svay province, more than 3 hours from Phnom Penh by car, is tucked into a corner of the country's southeastern border where it juts into Vietnam. Vietnamese was once commonly used in Bavet, but now the city is filled with Chinese language signage, even in the back streets. Some cafes have staff that can only speak Chinese. Look, it's China over there, China here. Everything is China around here, an owner of a food stall said. Other changes have raised concerns with the arrival of Chinese-funded casinos and reports of shootings and murders involving Chinese nationals.
And now for news highlights. In this episode, Jada and I have a discussion about a recent article that has particularly captured our attention.
And today we'd like to talk about how parents in East Asia particularly are sending their children to school in Malaysia.
Yeah, that's the interesting angle. These are international schools.
Yes.
And international schools have been around for a while, and people who graduate from them tend to have prestigious chances at better education, and a lot of parents seek it out. But there are problems to that because it's expensive.
Yeah, that's kind of the first thing I think about when I think about international schools, the level of tuition. Especially a lot of parents in Japan, I think, prefer to send them to international schools, but and the primary choice has been the West, U.S., UK, maybe Australia for some people, but yeah, the level of tuition is just, yeah.
It's prohibitive to most people, and that's where Malaysia's coming in, because they're offering international schools, but they're also offering them at not bargains, but they are offering them at prices that are pretty reasonable for the quality of education they're offering.
Yeah, because we have a chart in this story that actually lists with all the, I guess, main big cities and their level of yearly median cost of international schools. Interestingly, I mean, Beijing and Shanghai is over $30,000, so that's a lot.
Median yearly cost to go to these schools. Yeah.
I was
Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, they're all at the top.
I was thinking, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Singapore would be higher, but yeah, China, it's just through the roof. But Singapore, Tokyo, Hong Kong, they're also around, somewhere between $10,000 to $20,000. That's still very high. But Malaysia is kind of at the bottom of this chart, huh?
Yeah, they're down sub 10,000, even lower than that.
Yeah.
And so right now, they're in Malaysia, I believe there's about 30,000 students that are attending these schools right now. About 8,000 from China, 4,000 from South Korea, and 3,000 from Japan. And you notice that they are attending from other parts of Asia, and that's one of the other advantages, is that a lot of students say, we may be a 6-hour flight away, but that's still a shorter flight than to the U.S. or Canada or Australia or Europe. And also, we're in similar time zones. So that's good for keeping in contact with family.
Yes, I'm sure parents are, they'll be worried sick if their kids are going abroad by themselves. We have a lot of nice comments or quotes from actual, parents who are sending their children to Malaysia. One person said that her daughter, now 14, matured significantly after relocating to Malaysia, which she now considers, her second home, and that she's more independent, patient, and active. So it looks like the parents are very pleased with the results.
That's one of the other advantages Malaysia has, even though I believe it's not the official language, but Malaysia recognizes English as one of its languages, and that is helping for an international, getting into more internationally global communication. And one of the other things that is mentioned a few times in this story is the concept of balance. Where it's a balance between some schools in some countries, the education system's too strict.
Yeah.
In other places, it's too loose. And Malaysia seems to be finding that perfect little medium there.
Yeah. So the stress level's not too high for the students. It's relatively safe. Or, parents won't have to worry about drugs and alcohol.
That was one thing in the article. They just openly said, maybe Australia, maybe the United States.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about drug use and maybe some violence.
Yeah.
And you can argue about how much that actually happens, but there is that perception.
Yes,
So.
yeah, definitely. But the academic level is, fairly high. And also, Malaysia is not really in a serious geopolitical or situation. Conflicts.
They tend to be very diplomatically balanced between different superpowers and economies and smaller countries as well.
Yeah. I think one interesting thing that I read in the article was that actually the ASEAN or ASEAN countries have made a educational task force. So this is to promote collaboration with countries like South Korea, Japan, China, who are sending their kids to Malaysia. So one idea under this task force is that a digital skills credential system could allow students in the ASEAN area to move across borders seamlessly. So that might increase students from East Asia to further, go to ASEAN and go across borders.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, are other countries nearby catching on to this and maybe start doing similar things?
Mm-hmm. And that brings us to the close of today's episode.
We look forward to having you join up again for the next edition of the Nikkei Asia News Roundup.
Stay informed, stay curious. Until next time, I'm Jada.
And I'm Brian. See you again, and take care. This program is brought to you by Nikkei.